This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
We're
All right,
working
well,
on it.
Now we got sound. Can you guys hear us now?
Ooh,
Okay, you got sound?
I don't know what just happened.
I don't
That's
know.
okay.
Okay. Maybe a connection thing. Smuff, thank you for being there. Appreciate it. This is the first day I don't wear headphones.
it is.
And not that the headphones would have done anything because we've got levels here, but I feel like I jinxed it personally.
Well, I
myself.
decided not to wear headphones either in
Yeah.
solidarity with you.
Yeah.
And
I was doing it for a comfort thing because it can get very
tight.
warm.
Yeah.
It can get very warm in here and the headphones too. So I'm trying to think about what important thing I said. Oh, I said, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Make sure you're with us. If you can't be with us live, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, we can join you there in the podcast form, or you can watch us here on playback, and we appreciate that very much. Hopefully this sets the tone for what the remainder of the show is going to be, which is kind of up in the air and craziness.
Agreed. I think the
You think so?
topic will lend itself to that.
You think so?
I think so.
We have our main topic coming up here in just a few moments, which is EG sharing a little bit about her life as a tenant, which is fascinating.
It is.
And I have some burning hot headlines to get to, including something that EG is very passionate about.
Oh, I love it.
Starting with the top headline here. This is breaking news.
Okay.
Morgan Wallen. Oh,
You
yeah.
guys know how I feel.
Have you
Did he
heard?
throw another chair?
No, I haven't heard this. I
haven't heard this?
No, now I'm nervous.
Morgan Wallen has been sentenced to 7 days in a DUI education center,
Uh,
and he must be placed under supervised probation for 2 years after pleading guilty to throwing a chair from a Nashville rooftop.
that really? Wow. So, okay.
Yeah, slap on the wrist, basically.
Slap on the wrist. Dang. Okay. What does probation for 2 years even mean? Nothing?
It means he doesn't need to do anything else legal for 2 years, and then nothing will happen. But if he keeps screwing up, keeps throwing chairs off of balconies, then they'll,
Mhm.
hit him.
If that chair had hit somebody,
He would be in prison.
this would be a very different type of story.
For
He
sure.
better be very thankful that chair didn't hit anybody. Throwing it off of the rooftop of Chiefs, a place I was this past weekend.
Did you see the plaque?
I've heard they've taken the plaque down.
Oh.
And when I was up there was no plaque, from what I could tell. But I can't
Interesting.
believe that they even put a plaque up there. But so many people had been going up there
To see the
to see the
scene.
general area of where the chair got thrown because it's such a viral story. But it was very close to really,
That was-
impaling somebody, which would have been awful.
I was about to say, I mean, was that 4 stories up at least?
No, further than that.
And you have a chair, a metal chair coming at you?
Yeah, there's 5 floors in that building.
He better thank the good Lord before he goes to sleep tonight.
It was either 5 or 6 stories up there. So, but that is I think I can safely say that is my favorite Nashville bar, though. Chiefs. I
That's
love
Eric
it.
Church's bar.
It is. Now, I'm a
And
big
you love
Eric.
Eric. Yeah, you love Eric Church.
I'm a big Eric Church fan, but I just love the way it's laid out. And there's like a concert venue on 2 of the floors, an upper and lower tier to that. And then there's a piano bar, which is really awesome
Yeah.
and a lot of fun there. Then there's a barbecue restaurant.
In
Rodney Scott's is in the bar.
really?
Yes.
You get that spatchcock turkey?
No, but I'll tell you, I love the mac and cheese there.
Interesting.
I love that, but I did not get the spatchcock turkey. Hoping the microphone picked up all of that. And and then the top is the rooftop that's really neat. So I love it.
I want to go. I've
Yeah.
never been to Nashville in my adult life, which is shocking.
Same here.
Okay. Well, I mean, this sounds like a Meltdown field trip.
I would love to attend.
We got to make this happen. Now, are you how do y'all handle like being around hordes of people shoulder to shoulder walking down city streets, narrow city blocks?
So I think we can all be transparent on the meltdown. I feel like I tend in some of those situations to get a little, I don't want to say aggressive, but if someone bumps into me intentionally, I don't like that. So I like to, in those situations, obviously have to fight the crowd, but then you get in a little spot, right? Whether it's on the rooftop by Rodney Scott's, but I cannot stand the people, and we all know who I'm talking about. You've had an experience with them that just blow through a crowd with no regard for anyone else. I don't care how much you're drinking, it's never appropriate. And that makes me more mad than really anything in life.
I can part the seas with my movement for the most
For
part.
sure.
People will bump into me by accident and then profusely apologize to me.
See, I don't have that effect.
I was in the hallway a couple of minutes ago, and I'm not making this up. I turn a corner. We have some very long hallways with some very tight corners. So
We
when
do.
you turn a corner, you could run into somebody literally head on. And I ran into this guy, and I think the first thing he saw was my Jason mask on my hoodie.
Which doesn't
But
help.
he thought it was just a regular mask because of how high up it was.
Correct. You're catching on here, Tyler, to the story. And this is what he yells. This was his gut reaction of thing he yelled. You might want to take a guess?
Yeah.
Nope. That
I'm
makes
so
sense.
sorry.
No.
Oh
I'm
no,
scared
it's
of
Jason.
you.
He yells, "Creep!"
No. Are you serious?
Oh,
Not kidding. It
I'm so
happened,
sorry,
Fun.
Tim.
it happened 15 minutes ago.
Oh,
I
15, 20
am
minutes
so
ago.
sorry. That person has no idea who they're speaking to.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't mean about it. He was just like, "Creep!" And it was like he was surprised it came out of his mouth.
Who was it?
I don't know the guy.
Does he work on the floor? On this floor?
He did not work on this floor. He's in the building now.
oh.
Yeah, there's going to be a plaque where it happened, where people visit. Anyway, yeah, so Morgan Wallen, slap on the wrist there, but once again, thankful nobody got hurt.
Agreed.
And I believe Smuff says the real crime here is the bro country he produces. Morgan Wallen is a step above bro country, in my opinion. Now, sometimes it sounds a little bro-ish,
Yeah.
for sure, but it's actually the music. I think I'm a country music fan, so that's half the battle.
hmm
I actually think Morgan Wallen has a pretty good catalog.
I agree. I think when I think of bro country, I think of Hardy. I do not like Hardy.
Well, when he collaborates with Hardy is when I'm typically like, no thanks.
Yes.
But I love when he collaborates with Ernest, and I'm not talking about Ernest Goes to Jail,
Oh,
which
not Jim
Wait,
Varney.
does Ernest sing that song about my buck blood and dee? It's horrible. It was one of Georgia Southern's baseball players' walk-up songs when I covered
that's how you would know it.
the team, and every time it came on, it made me so mad. Is that Ernest or Hardy?
How did it go again? Maybe I'll figure it out.
Trucks where my money goes, got buck blood on my Sunday clothes. Oh, it's horrible. Anyways,
You should blame the baseball player. But I know you wouldn't do that because that's Georgia Southern.
no, I'm
Georgia
blaming. I
Southern
said I'm blaming the baseball player. I could name drop him right now, but I don't want to.
Please don't.
Oh,
But like 80% of the music references you make in this room are, I heard this at Georgia Southern over the loudspeaker. And that's a true story.
that is a true story.
This is just the first story. I have a couple, and I promise they all have some weight to them, including, I mean, some sad news for entertainment consumers today.
You guys,
That is correct, even though I'm not a subscriber. I'll explain. YouTube TV
I'm not a customer either.
is raising their rates
Either.
$10 to $82.99 per month beginning
What?
January 25th. It outpaces the rate of inflation with a 14% price increase for the streaming pay TV package going into effect for new customers immediately. So if I was to sign up, I would immediately have to start paying the $82.99 per month. Tyler, are you a YouTube TV subscriber?
So technically, yes. My dad has YouTube TV, and I use his login sometimes. But I'd say out of every streaming service I have, that's the one I use the least.
Okay.
Like it is purely for nothing else is on. There's no good YouTube video I want to watch. I'll just turn on some Seinfeld, turn on some Family Guy, some It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But I can't think of a streaming service that's actually less worth the money now. $83 a month?
But remember, this isn't a traditional streaming service. This is your connection to all the cable channels, which for those that cut the cord many, many years ago when this was like, I don't know, $20 a month, maybe less. Maybe it was like
It was steal.
See, I got
$15 a month.
in, me and my dad got in on it at like 45 a month,
Okay.
50 a month.
Well, it continues to rise and it is causing a lot of headaches for consumers that are like, look, every time you try to cut costs in getting television, it may sound good at that entry point, but it always finds a way to work itself back up to where now if you want access to every streaming service right now, you're paying way more than you ever paid
With
for
cable.
cable.
That's
Yeah.
what I'd say. Go back to cable and leave this model behind because it'll be $100 a month in a year.
And the disputes with the providers as well will continue to where you're going to have to jump if you want every channel and access to every game and all that. These these contract disputes makes it to where like last year it was Charter that was in a dispute with Disney, and then this past year was it YouTube TV that was in a dispute with
I
Disney?
believe they were.
Valley
This happens every
Yeah.
like 2 years or something. I remember when I was a kid, there would be commercials on Nickelodeon and Disney Channel and everything else, and it's like DirecTV's getting rid of Viacom. Make sure you talk to your parents and tell them to call, and make sure they keep all the Viacom networks so you don't miss out on Nickelodeon.
Well, Valley Sports was in a dispute with Comcast this past season, so most people missed well over half of the season, and it's not getting any better with FanDuel Network.
I remember Braves fans complaining about
It
that
was
the
ridiculous.
entire time and
Mhm.
not being able to get their eyes on the game. And then that's how you and Ush became such good friends because he had access to the games.
I know.
You could get eyes on it, and eventually he allowed you to come inside.
Yeah,
At first, it was you had to watch
initially,
outside the window.
yeah, over the wreath on the door.
Let's talk a little bit about the big movie releasing this weekend, Kraven the Hunter. I have made it clear I refuse to watch this garbage.
It's Kraven time.
There's only so much time you're allotted on planet Earth, and I refuse to watch it. I refuse to spend it watching Kraven the Hunter. I skipped Morbius. I skipped Madam Web. I skipped Venom 2 and 3. I know there's another one in there somewhere.
I actually don't think there is.
I've skipped them, and I'm going to keep my perfect streak alive with Kraven the Hunter. I draw the line somewhere. It's hovering around 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's projected to open up between 13 and 15 million.
Falling below Madam Web's $15.3 million opening.
Correct. So my question to you, Tyler, is which one will be higher after the weekend? Its Rotten Tomatoes score or the amount of millions of dollars it's made at the theater? And I'm going to hold you accountable to this, and on Monday we're going to see if you're right.
Oh, that's tough. Because problem with the Rotten Tomatoes score, and we're not even going to get into like sample size and the Fandango issue or whatever. That's a different conversation for a different time. But 14 isn't a absolute abomination you have to go see that's so bad it's fun. 14 is just god awful movie that you don't want to watch. So I'm thinking word of mouth keeps it around the 14 to 20 range. But yeah, I would go dang, that's tough. Yeah, I'm gonna go Rotten Tomato score higher. Um just because I'd see some fanboys coming in and getting it just over that 15-16 margin. Now, if you're if it was opening up at like a 2, different story. That's an absolute abomination that you've got to go see and might end up with some money because of that.
I think it opened up at 17%. It's dropped to 14%. It could drop further or it could end up rising, but you're going with the Rotten Tomatoes score will end up being higher than the amount of millions of dollars that it makes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We will see how that goes. But once again, Craven the Hunter looks like hot garbage that's been in development now for years. It was supposed to be out in 2023 at one point, maybe even 2022. I don't know. It's been in development for years. Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to suffer tremendously again with not being able to lead this movie, which is going to hurt him in his race to become the next James Bond. All right, we've got the next North Carolina head football coach announced. EG, this is your territory.
It is.
Bill Belichick, officially the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels and their football squad. Do you think something like this ends up igniting even more conversation of UNC to the SEC?
No, that hasn't really been crossed my mind. That's an interesting conversation to have, though. I think it's interesting for a lot of reasons, and in my opinion, this will be more of a headache for him in the long run, and I don't think that he is going to find fulfillment in this job. There's no way. The fact that Nick Saban, who he coached with, threw in the towel and was like, "I can't. Like, this is not the sport that it was."
Can I give a counter argument?
Yeah.
Okay. Most people would consider Nick Saban to be a college coach
Mhm.
and Bill Belichick to be a professional
For
coach.
sure. For sure.
And most people would say that the college game has never been more like the professional game than right
Right.
now.
Right.
So while it seems like an odd fit, if Belichick runs this not only as a head coach, but also as almost like a GM, is it not a prime area for him to possibly succeed at a place where expectations are not at their highest either?
I'm going to disagree with that
Okay.
because I think that the NFL is in a place where they're not dealing with guys opting out of games. It's December. You don't know who's on your roster come January. They're not having to recruit their teams back. There's a lot more of obviously regulation of contracts. There's a lot more, everything's more clear. Where at the college level, you have the egos now of NFL players. You have the money being pumped in. In a lot of cases, it's more money at the college level than the NFL level, but you have none of the parameters
Well,
that make the NFL a little more clean cut.
but who is good with that current style of college football? Like, who is a coach that's primed for that? Because I don't think we found one that's sort of leading the charge right now as having adapted fully to this new NIL landscape.
I think Dan Lanning would be the leading one, in my opinion. I think he's found that balance of having a social media presence, having a recruiting edge, being a player's coach, but still having a very high standard
Right.
of what it should be. But I agree with you. I think but beyond him, every coach is having to navigate it. And that's why I just feel like for Bill Belichick stepping into it, his expectations are how he deals with NFL players, how he deals with agents and contracts. And you're coming into you have a however old kid making millions of dollars a year and their representation is their uncle or their dad or like
Well, I mean, he's used to dealing with 24-year-olds at this point in his life, I feel like.
yes, that's another conversation. His girlfriend could get free tuition if she decides to get her master's degree or whatever she would like to do.
It has been a topic of conversation here around the office. You know, Bill Belichick obviously very much notably has a 24-year-old girlfriend, a 48-year-old age gap
Oh,
in the relationship. Now, this is not the first time we've seen something like this, right? This is how
Um,
Anna Nicole Smith became famous.
uh, wow, what Al Pacino, him and his new wife. How old is she? Like
I don't,
30?
I don't, I don't know for sure, but I know Al Pacino just recently
He became a
had a
father.
child
Yeah.
with this woman, so and he was shocked by that. But um, once again, it's an interesting look for sure. Um, I remember Bill Belichick around the Halloween time where he was like
mhm.
fishing for mermaids or
And
something
she
out
was
in
the
the.
mermaid.
hmm
It's
Can
Now the
I
take I've seen lately is a joke, obviously, but it's just show people the doubters a picture of Bill Belichick and his girlfriend and tell me he doesn't know how to recruit talent.
that is an
That,
argument.
that's that that's been the big joke going around.
I will say when it comes like we've seen this before, I feel like we see it a lot in Hollywood, but it's not very often that you see it with coaches in the NFL.
you know
Obviously, it happens at the college level, but I feel like this is a little bit of a unique case to the sports world.
I am buying stock in Belichick's going to work at UNC. I mean, not that he's actually going to work at UNC. We know he's going to work
But
at
it's going to
UNC,
be a good fit.
but it's going to be something that works out for both parties.
My favorite tweet that I've seen was from a girl named Stormy, and she's very established. She's a sideline reporter. And she tweeted out yesterday, imagine being a student reporter and it's Bill Belichick on the stand. And I had this moment of that is actually going to happen. There's going to be some sophomore freshman reporter having to go to these press conferences, and it's Bill Belichick.
But I feel like Belichick is a less intimidating figure to interview than a Nick Saban
Yeah.
because Belichick is just dry and boring. He doesn't really bite the head off of anybody. He mumbles.
Mhm.
I feel like you can ask him a hypothetical.
I don't know about that.
Really?
No,
Okay.
I don't know about
no,
that, Tyler. I think
no.
we took it a step too far. Okay, let's talk about this. Mariah Carey will officially be opening up Netflix's NFL Christmas Game Day on December 25th with a taped performance
She
of,
would.
of All I Want for Christmas Is You. Have you guys really liked listening to this song throughout the holiday season? Have you
Yeah.
avoided it for the most part?
No.
You
Yeah.
hate it?
I can't stand it, Mariah Carey.
You like it?
Yeah,
Okay. This explains the difference between Tyler and EG. For
right
those
there.
wondering at home, All I Want for Christmas Is You is the perfect sort of Tyler cringing and EG kind of jamming out because a baseball player at Georgia Southern used it for their
That's
walkout. But Mariah Carey will be performing on Netflix there in this taped segment. I'm sure it's going to be spectacular.
It'll be a snowflake ball gown Santa extravaganza.
Correct. It will just completely get everybody ramped up to watch some football.
Yeah, totally.
And then you have Beyonce performing live at halftime during one of these games, and it's going to be an extended sort of halftime show for Beyonce. Is there a chance more people are talking about the Beyonce halftime show on Christmas Day than talking about the Super Bowl halftime show?
No.
Who's performing Super Bowl halftime again this year?
Kendrick.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, and they mentioned a male rapper and a female rapper appearing with him. I personally believe it will be Travis Scott and SZA showing up as well with Kendrick.
You don't
But
think it's gonna be Drake? That
it
was
was
a
a good
joke.
joke.
That was a joke.
You got me.
I don't I feel like the Super Bowl halftime, they've lost their luster in recent years. I feel like it used to be so hyped up and like it was like this big thing, and now it's just not to me.
I don't know. I feel like it's pretty big, but I in the age of social media where everybody's got to have a hot take on the halftime show,
It's a flash in the pan now.
it's a I feel like Usher, he got a lot of traction there for a little
Yeah.
while off of it.
Yeah.
It just depends on the artist and the makeup at home of who's watching. Because Granny's going to be watching the halftime show very differently than the 12-year-olds at
Right.
home when Kendrick comes out. And it's going to be an interesting dichotomy of what the reaction is going to be online.
Yeah. It doesn't thrill me to see Beyonce on Christmas. It doesn't thrill me to see Kendrick, I'm gonna be honest.
Yep.
Tyler,
Mhm.
2 movies that we have reviews up for Wicked and Conclave. They have dominated the Critics' Choice Awards. Nominations came out 11 nominations for Wicked, 11 nominations for Conclave, including Best Picture for both. This is at the Critics' Choice Awards. Which one of those 2 films did you enjoy seeing more?
Um, dang. So Conclave was very interesting for most of the movie, but then like towards the end, I think it kind of fizzles out. Um, Wicked is just not my cup of tea. I think it's a better made movie though.
So if you were a part of the Critics' Choice Awards, which one day you could definitely be, you would be casting your vote if it was down to those 2 for Wicked over Conclave.
I'm glad you clarified it with if it was down to those
Yeah.
two because you knew I was gonna throw out. No, I'd actually vote for Dune Part Two out of
Oh, sure.
all that.
But these are the 2 that are leading, which
Yeah.
is what leads me into this hypothetical question,
Oh,
which I heard you would be a fan of. Jim Carrey, your boy, getting ready
yes.
for Sonic 3. He was asked which of his characters he wants to play again.
Mm-hmm. The
He said,
Grinch, no makeup.
He said, quote, "Oh gosh, if we could figure out the Grinch, the thing about it is on the day I do that with a ton of makeup and can hardly breathe, it was an extremely excruciating process. The children were in my mind all the time. It's for the kids, it's for the kids, it's for the kids. And now with motion capture and things like that, I could be free to do other things. Anything is possible in this world." Do you buy that a motion capture Grinch would have the same sort of effect as the early 2000s Ron Howard movie?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. I prefer the practical effects. Obviously that is just an ordeal for Jim Carrey to go through every single day to become the Grinch. But I mean, it does look better on camera than motion capture work. Most motion capture work, I should say.
If you want a good CGI Grinch, the Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch is fantastic.
God.
It's the superior Grinch movie.
Yeah, it's not as creepy as
Yeah. I went to a screening. I've told this story. I went to a screening of that movie in town, and they started playing the Jim Carrey Grinch. And actually, they actually started showing the CGI Grinch, but there was no sound.
Mm.
And so I went up and said, "Hey, there's no sound." And then they restarted it, and then they put on the Jim Carrey Grinch, and I had to go back up and go, now you got the wrong Grinch up." And then
it's awful.
they're like, "Dude, are you ever going to be happy?" I'm like, "Well, I brought my family to
Put the
watch
right
the
Grinch on.
animated Grinch, and
I mean,
you know,
I probably just would have rolled with it once the Jim Carrey Grinch started, even though I hadn't
Have
seen the Benedict
you need
Cumberbatch
to
one.
see the Benedict Cumberbatch one because it really is that good.
it's fantastic." I actually bought the soundtrack on vinyl.
It's
I
good.
love it. It's so good.
I do know the song Tyler the Creator has for the soundtrack.
Yeah,
Yes, I
good.
was being called by some of my friends when I had the big puffy beard and the hair and everything.
As the guy in that.
Bricklebaum.
Yeah,
You remember? Yeah,
Bricklebum.
Bricklebaum. It was played by Keenan Thompson in the movie. It's a
Oh,
very good
okay.
movie.
I like Keenan Thompson.
Good.
He's great.
Fresh off the success, Tyler, me and you were going to geek out about this one. Fresh off the success of the HBO series The Penguin, DC Studios has officially greenlit a feature film centered around Clayface, the shape shifting Batman villain from a script written by Dr. Sleep filmmaker Mike Flanagan. I have wanted a Clayface movie or a Clayface appearance in a movie for a long time. The way it's being described is like is almost exactly like The Substance, but with Clayface. That works for me.
Yeah, that works.
I mean, if if they go dark, psychological, R-rated drama with Clayface and his story set in, I don't know if it'll what version of Gotham it'll be set in.
Okay, that was my next question. I didn't know if it would be following up off of our theory that you can find in the Who Will Batman Fight in Batman Part 2 video we did on the channel, where we theorized that maybe Eve Carlo, the Penguin's sort of lady friend, would end up being a version of Clayface or related to Clayface, given that Clayface's last name is also Carlo.
Well, it's a possibility that I think is becoming less and less likely given the fact that this looks to be kind of independent from everything. But we'll see how it ties in James Gunn's DC. But I'm really excited about this one and think that it's a perfect time to launch a film like this. Tickets to Christopher Nolan's Interstellar had been listed on secondary markets for as much as $215 a ticket after all 166 IMAX screens sold out for the duration of the re release. Is this a good or bad development as we evaluate the future of the movie business when you hear about these reselling of tickets? Tyler, you resell merch. You've been very public about that. What
Yep.
do you make of the reselling of tickets in the movie theater landscape and whether or not that's a good or bad thing for the eventual consumer? Because I feel that there's going to be scalpers now getting involved in this.
So this is gonna be a hot take. This is gonna be an unpopular opinion, dare I say. Um, People need to quit complaining about scalpers because if it's not a in-demand product or service, there wouldn't ever be a scalper. You should take the scalpers as a sign that maybe the theaters will come back in a big way. Maybe distributors will have to take these limited re-releases and bring them out wider because that's the only way to satisfy it, or just adding even more screenings to the places where it's already rolling out.
I understand the argument, but I also understand the other side of there being people who can't get their hands on it that are genuine fans because other people see it as a business opportunity that have no intention of ever going and supporting the art itself.
See, and that's the common take against resellers when you're reselling merch or shoes or whatever. It's all the true fans couldn't get it. And my response to that is always the same. It's no, be on the website when it goes on sale
But
and get it.
but no, because there's all those bots that you can buy for
I'm not saying we just start legitimizing bot orders. Those are always canceled out on, sites I resell with or buy product with to resell. Yeah, nobody likes bots, but if you're getting beat out by genuine demand,
But I guess how
it
do
is
you
what it is.
separate the genuine demand between the reseller bots?
You don't. People conflate the two all the time. I seriously doubt that AMC is going to have a botting issue. Um, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Like AMC needs to improve their bot security if that is going to be a problem. But
Well,
if you're also dying to see a movie and it is so high on your list that you might be willing to even pay resale price for it, get on the website early. Camp out for it. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, it
Just do better.
yeah, I feel like it's not the same sort of war chest sometimes when you have professionals. One,
Yeah.
Oh, of course not, but it's like that in every facet of life.
yeah,
So if you want to go buy a car, congratulations, you're paying dealer markup now, even if it's one they've got like 5, 6 cars of, if that is an in demand car, just because they know somebody will pay it. I can sell the shoes off my feet for $500 if I really wanted to, but I'm not because I want to keep them. I'm a genuine fan of them, but somebody's willing to hand me 600, 700 right now, I'll take them off right now and hand them over.
I gotcha. I understand you're saying that the game itself fuels this type of activity, and I understand that that's sort of where you're at with this. I do feel badly for those that want a chance to see this movie that maybe won't get that chance because they're not willing to shell over the $215 from somebody else trying to make a buck off of their passion for this film. But in the same sense, I don't see this happening quite often in the movie theatrical exhibition industry. But could it happen with the next big Avengers movies that pop up? And we know those premium screens, they're very
Mhm.
much in demand, especially early on when people don't want everything ruined for them. And this is going to be a topic of conversation that I didn't necessarily think we'd be having, that could continue on for years to come and create for the theaters even more demand for their tickets, which I don't think they're going to be too upset about.
Well, I mean, if there's a ticket you're wanting to go, you're really wanting, got to be like the guy in that insurance commercial. You got to be quicker than that. You got to be on top of it. I don't know what else to say. Like I could start buying multiple tickets too and start selling them.
Yeah, I don't know. There's only so much the consumer can actually control on their own end. And I think every situation's different, but I'll be curious to see how many
Yeah.
more times this happens when it comes to movies. The fact it's happening with Interstellar says a lot here. And once again, you've been in how many empty theaters this year? The fact that there's a movie that's getting this type of genuine interest is
Now
pretty
there
special. They need to do more of these re-releases.
there was a re-release of all of the Batman movies in New York, LA, Miami as part of a collaboration with the company Kith. And if you were, I believe, first 100 in line, you got a graded PSA trading card for the movie you're going to see, as well as a popcorn bucket and a collectible soda cup. And there were fights in line because people are trying to you know, get to the front of the line and resell the card for
Right.
300, $400, whatever.
Anytime the parameters are set up for what you have to do to follow the rules to participate in one of these experiences, there's always going to be people that try to ruin it
Oh, of
Mhm.
course.
because how many people were in that line fighting for things that they didn't even care about but wanted to resell for a buck? I mean, I'm not saying that they have any less right to be there than anybody
No.
else, but I'm saying that when you have that level of demand, it's going to create friction between human beings, and I hate to see that happening now in the space of theatrical exhibition.
My response to that is then increase the supply. That's
Yeah.
that's that's how you end up killing the resellers. Nike's been doing that. They've been pumping out stock of every Jordan they've ever released. All of these old dunks that you never thought you'd see again. Wu-Tang dunks used to go for 20 grand.
But who
Now they've released them and they're going for $150.
Right, and I understand it happening with concert tickets, I just never thought we'd get to a point where it's happening with
Movies.
movie tickets.
I will say I have more respect for people that it's in-person experiences because I feel like a lot of these resellers, they may be sitting in their parents' basement at noon and they can get on there and beep, 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 beep. But the other person that wants to go, I mean, I feel like when you talk about the internet and it being online, there's a lot of more ramifications and unknown than if you show up at 2 hours early to a drop site. I have more respect for that and the resellers that do that because at least you're doing something instead of just sitting on a computer.
If you've
Thank
been
you.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
mean,
It's okay. It's okay. Every time I post a new item on, my Depop or my eBay, my inbox is flooded with hate. People just saying the nastiest
wait,
thing. And
really?
oh yeah, people get really mad if you get the shoes they wanted
Mm,
and you're selling them because why
that's
would you
silly.
not buy something for 100, sell it for 500?
I do think your perspective is
Is
valuable and interesting in this because you're typically on the reseller side of this transaction.
And I'm on
I'm
the consumer side too. I get screwed over and things sell out of my cart as I'm checking them out so many times. Back to the Batman event. There was a replica Bat Pod. I told you I was trying to get it for the studio. Sold out in my cart and it's reselling for $200.
oof,
I don't feel like paying $200 for it, so we just won't get it.
I'm very picky with what I
Them's the
want to
bricks.
add to my music collection,
hmm
but if there's some variant of an album coming out that I definitely want, I try to either coordinate with a good buddy of mine in John Saber, who I believe is in the chat right now, and we try to make sure that we can get our hands on a
collab.
copy of those things. Or I'm right there as soon as it goes live. But a lot of times, like Tyler says, it sells out while it's in your cart, and you followed all the guidelines, and you still don't
Mhm.
get it. And you know what? I don't have this hate
I don't
in
need,
my
yeah,
heart. It's just more like a, well, dang, maybe I'll be in a record shop one day and stumble upon it, and I'll just wait my turn.
Exactly. I,
So
I think that's the responsible attitude to
yeah.
have
I
about it.
agree. I agree.
but I mean, there are people who want the 30-second variant of the same album, and if they don't get it, they're not a completionist and they're willing to do anything to get it, and they will pay those markups, which is why, as Tyler's pointing out, it's why the
They,
markups still exist
yep.
because people are willing to
Yeah,
pay.
I bought a hat for $30 maybe 2 months ago. Sold it for 300. I think objectively, it is stupid to be paying that much for a $30 hat.
I have to agree.
I'm not gonna stop somebody from giving me
Right.
$300 for a $30 hat. No, you need to sort out your own problems
Your
and
financial
not be
errors.
parasocial to the point where you saw somebody famous wearing the hat and you have to empty your bank account for it.
Amen. Taylor Swift. Look at what,
Taylor Swift, a good point.
yeah.
Those candles like started selling at like 50 or $60 and now people are selling for over 100.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, if you are in line somewhere trying to get your hands on exclusive merch and you get your teeth knocked out, I highly recommend you go visit our friends at Alabama Dental Associates. Yes, even if you have to cross state lines to get there, they are the best that you can find. Located on Grants Mill Road, Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, Dr. Nolan, no relation to Christopher Nolan. They're at Alabama Dental Associates. They provide all sorts of services when it comes to staying on top of your dental health. Whether you have that nagging toothache or you need to get on top of those regular cleanings, they're there for you. Maybe you're new in town, need to make sure you have a dentist. They're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, call them 205 956 8977 or visit alabamadental.com where they look forward to seeing you. All right, a real animated conversation, Tyler. You've got a chat check in for us.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Saber wants to know if Clayface will be played by Alan Tudyk. Just looked it up, and Tudyk will be Clayface in DC's Creature Commandos show. No word on who will be playing him on the live action.
There is not a script yet,
No.
so it's very rare for them to make a casting decision without an actual official script. So we're in the very early stages of pre-production here, but the fact that it's been announced excites me very much.
Jody says EG gave him his new ringtone,
Oh,
singing,
enjoy that.
singing whatever that song was.
Terrible.
Let's see. And then Saber says you can't just do always just do better, referring to the issue with people reselling online items. Servers crash all the time. That is true. My response to that is the James Franco meme. First time. It happens. I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
it's an endless game
it's
of
an
resellers getting into it, going on to something else, sites boosting their security, boosting their server strength, bandwidth, everything. And it's just an endless cycle.
It is an imperfect system for sure. I continue to reference the same movie. I will do it again. Jingle All the Way, where Arnold Schwarzenegger is trying to get his hands on a Turbo Man doll, and there are scalpers
Mm-hmm.
that say they have Turbo Man dolls. The problem is those scalpers are selling fakes that end up not being legit, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's not a guy you want to screw with in that capacity. And
Oh, yeah.
Jingle All the Way is a movie I recommend to all you kids who, for some reason, haven't seen that movie. It's fantastic and one of my favorite holiday traditions. Okay, I want to get into our main topic today, and it is going to, if you thought Lionel was fired up there, there's a potential that we see EG unleashed here in a second because this has been an ongoing saga. EG, for those that don't know, is a tenant at an apartment. Tyler, also a tenant at an apartment. We call it Raccoon City
Oh, yeah.
around these parts. And they have two very intriguing stories based on their time spent as relatively new apartment leasers.
For sure.
And I don't think either one of them are fully enjoying the experience.
No.
I love being a homeowner. I've been an apartment leaser. There was an elderly couple below me that set a can of baked beans on fire in the middle of the night, and there was smoke billowing. We were on the top floor,
Oh no.
and I was concerned, and I poked my head over the railing to see what was going on, and it was an older man fanning baked
No.
beans out of his door while his wife was wondering if she should call the fire department.
Yes.
And I'm wondering what the heck is going on. But it ended up not resulting in a fire of the entire complex. But that's just a slight glimpse as to some of the independent lifestyles that we have chosen to live in our lives. My question to you, EG, is how did you approach this list of apartment leasing observations?
I have 5 of them, and they're observations that some of them come with some stories, and others are just helpful guidelines if the youth of America turn our show on and they wanna know how to act like a human in public spaces. And also that goes for anyone actually, because it's not just the youth that violate these
Let's say there's
human.
some, I don't know, let's
She
say
is
there's
fired
some
up today.
sort
Yeah.
of low life scalper out there in his mother's basement that wants to move into his first
Yeah.
apartment based on all his gains from his resales.
You know why? He makes the Lionel resellers look bad, and then he pisses off the consumer.
That is correct, I think. Unless it
Maybe.
was offensive to Tyler,
No, it
then it's
wasn't.
not
I
Man,
said
correct.
that
I
he
pay my bills with,
No,
with these
I said it.
shoes, bro.
I said it makes you look bad. It makes the Lionels, the true nice resellers, look like he's a
Yeah.
basement dweller.
I appreciate that.
You're
Because
welcome.
for every garbage message I get, there's at least 3 people saying, "Thank you for helping me get my little brother, my boyfriend, my
Yeah.
girlfriend a Christmas present
Yeah.
at a good price."
Santa Claus. Okay, anyways.
Lionel Claus. Okay, let's go to number 5 on this meltdown countdown.
Okay, number 5 is wave/say hello when you're in the hallways, on the elevator, in the parking garage, etc. I think in apartment living, it is not as neighborly as if you were to be in a house, in a neighborhood, things like that. And to me, it's so annoying because it's like you live right next to me. You can say hello when you walk out. I apologize if I scare you by walking by.
Do they yell?
No,
Do they ever do that?
I know, y'all
The
creep.
thing is, the when he yelled creep, he was making eye contact with me. It wasn't, it was he saw the shirt, he looked up, and this happened several minutes ago, now an hour ago here in the building.
I wish I could have seen that.
I wish we got to get security
Can't
camera
wait.
footage of this.
Clearance.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, but yes. But don't you feel, EG, like some people they just don't want to come across as creeps, and so they just avoid looking or talking or saying anything
And that's
in
fine.
common areas?
That's fine. However, when you zoom around the parking deck and almost take me out, I appreciate a courtesy wave.
Yeah.
Please.
I almost saw a wreck in my cul-de-sac, and I didn't know how that was possible, but
You in the trash can?
no, I was on the phone with EG,
Yeah.
shockingly. I'm
I hear-
outside,
I hear "Brr."
and there's a car that's turning in the cul-de-sac, right? They're in the lead. They're the lead car, and they're turning in the cul-de-sac, and the car behind them wants to go in a driveway. Well, the driveway is part of the cul-de-sac, so the turn is happening, and they're like, "No, I'm not slowing down for this, jerk." And they decide to go into their driveway. the person turning in the cul-de-sac has to hit the brakes. They're in the right.
Right?
They slam on the horn. And I'm like, EJ, I'm about to witness like a murder out here in my cul-de-sac.
I said 280. You said no cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sac.
Crazy.
Anyway, sorry.
No, but that was my first point, is just have a little common courtesy. And I agree. I don't want a full convo with you. But like if we're both walking out of the door at the same time, like we're both going to work. Hey, how are you? Good morning. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't,
I wonder if they're doing it out of a courtesy to you, though. Like, as in
but if
they
I
don't.
initiate the conversation and they don't say anything back to me, I'm
Oh,
like,
that's true.
okay, Grinch.
That's true.
I'm like,
That's
hey,
true.
good morning.
That's true.
Okay, go away then.
Okay. No, you're
Slither
right. If
off.
you initiate,
Yeah.
you should be reciprocated.
Yeah, or smile even.
Sure.
Just yeah.
Sure. Great.
Great.
Okay, let's move on to number 4 on this meltdown countdown of apartment takes.
Okay, this is my personal preference. For me, when looking for an apartment, doors that close to the outside / open to the outside, major no, and I want a closed parking garage. That is priorities to me.
Okay, give me more details. These are
Yeah.
security things,
These are
right?
security
Yeah.
measures. I don't want my door to open to the outside world. I
Got it.
want to have to go into a building to find my door.
Got it.
And I don't want the parking garage to be open to whomever.
That's wild. I've always preferred the opposite. I never like going to apartments where I've got to like go through a lobby and then, down a long hallway, up the stairs, all that sort of thing. I don't like that.
Well, I think our reasons are different. I don't want somebody to be able to see exactly where I live.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
if I mean,
that's a fair
if
point.
I get this is just how my brain works. If someone follows me off of 280 and I have an open apartment, they can wait and see exactly where I walk.
Can I?
Now, to be fair, that's probably much
Yeah.
more of a concern for you than it
Yes,
is for me.
exactly. That's why I say that.
I'm going to say it again. There are things we take for granted as men, and I'm going to speak on behalf of all men here. As the speaker of men, there are things that we take a little bit for granted. And until you have that female perspective either shared with you, or there's a female in your life that you feel the need to constantly protect, or you have a daughter, or like it really opens your eyes to a world that's sort of been there the entire time that you haven't quite noticed. And when you have a take like this, I'm appreciative
Mhm.
that you're saying this. We have a mostly male audience
Yeah.
that I think could use the refresher of like, it's not just paranoia because, oh, by the way, the latest story on the news just confirmed that this happens all the time.
Right, right. And I think that gets lost, especially, when you are in a city or you're moving to a new place, it can often be like, EG, like, why are you like, you're fine. Well, you hope you're fine, but if you don't take certain measures,
Yeah.
you can really easily not be fine.
I know people who walk through life and they never are looking around at what's around them.
Oh,
And they just are completely at ease all the time. And then I have other people in my life that are very aware of every sort of situation. And if something doesn't
yeah.
feel right, they don't take the chance.
That's
If
where
they,
I'm in.
and EG is someone who trusts her gut,
Mhm.
which is why she loves Culvers.
I do.
Okay, let's go to number 3 on this meltdown countdown.
Number 3 is just a helpful hint to anyone. Get a pair of slippers to walk around your apartment in. That will help muffle at least some of the noise.
Okay, so
Okay.
House
there are
shoes.
people who have no idea why this is something that's on your list. And
Yeah,
I
and
feel
I'll
like
give
now is story time. Are we
Yeah.
there
well,
yet?
that was my number 1, but we can I'm just teasing that. I think that's a good habit to have. If you are in a building that has multiple floors and you're not the top or no, you're on any floor unless the ground floor, muffle your steps slightly.
Okay. What if you're
Courtesy.
a 7-foot giant who says fee fi fo fum when he walks?
You would probably need to make your downstairs neighbor cookies and, like, periodically check in to make sure
No,
you're
here's the truth. I'm a light stepper. I
you
mean,
are?
people wouldn't. I have giant feet, and you'd think, well, okay, well, that must be like a,
You are
Oafing?
surprisingly sneaky for your
Yeah.
I
size.
am surprisingly sneaky. And the way I sort of tiptoe around, you do not hear me coming your way, which is why the guy in the hallway today didn't hear me that I was there and was like, and why he yelled creep.
I
And it's still hurting me because
Yeah, I didn't yell that
Tim
when you scared me at the movies that one
Tim is the
time.
least creepy person I know.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
can I put that down on like as a reference? Like,
Yeah.
this person thinks I'm not creepy or I don't know. Anyway, all right. Let's move on to number 2 on this meltdown countdown of apartment living.
Okay. You pay for the amenities, use them. Same with work orders. I'm not changing a light bulb. I pay for that. I don't.
Okay.
That's
you're-
baked in there.
But-
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
That's right. But okay, let's talk about your perspective as a woman since we've opened that
Oh,
door.
okay. Yeah.
Are you good with like, hey, a light bulb is out. I need some maintenance guy to come and in
So
my apartment?
that was part of the reason I chose my living accommodation, which I will not be revealing on air. But their maintenance workers have background checks, and they
Okay.
are routinely checked upon, you could say, to make sure that there's nothing outstanding, if you will. The few times I also try not to be in my apartment when that happens. If I am in my apartment, I call my brother, keep him on speaker, and I leave the door open. So, helpful hint too, if you're going to a hotel room, if you're going into your apartment or space after not being there for a while, use your luggage to keep your door open because you never want to find yourself in a position where you have trapped yourself in when that's really avoidable by just keeping a door open. And that's with maintenance too. You don't want to confine yourself in any sort of way. I also will ask if the lobby lady will come with, and usually they do. But light bulbs, anything that like is like paint, I pay for you to come help me. So
You take advantage of
I
it.
take advantage of it. Same with amenities, like use it. They have a coffee maker in the lobby. You're paying for a coffee in your rent. So go use it. Go take snacks.
I'm in a
You're
weird
paying for them to
You're
keep
pay-
the place
exactly.
raccoon free.
Yeah.
Raccoon free. You hear me?
look, you just grab yourself one of the TNR guys and you go to your apartment office, it'll be taken care of in no time.
Yeah, maybe I need Lance to go with me to the,
I
to the
know.
leasing office.
Yeah.
Have,
Yes,
have
no,
him,
seriously.
have him straighten it out. I mean, it's been ridiculous. I have to spray an absolute ungodly amount of peppermint oil. And I don't think it's bad for me. It's peppermint oil.
Yeah.
It's one of the essential oils.
Clears your sinuses.
But yeah. But I don't think it should be necessary.
No.
There are some things that I will hint to Tyler of like, hey man, it'd be really cool if you subject yourself to this type of thing for content. And it's very rare. We're normally pretty in sync, but occasionally he'll be like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
What?
And now I've got it in my mind that I want to ask, will you please film yourself
With the
spraying
raccoons?
peppermint oil around your complex, potentially, and
Yeah.
air it here on the Meltdown?
That's
Okay.
You'll do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I never know because I don't want to push past that limit, but I would love to see your routine, is what I'm saying. Like a day in the life of how to protect against raccoons.
Yes.
And we put that as a world feature debut
Please.
here on the Meltdown.
I'd love
Would the
that.
chat like to see that? Tyler fighting raccoons on
Please say yes.
our show? I would love to know
Not
that.
fighting raccoons. I don't go near them.
Preventative fighting.
I've actually
measures.
canceled a movie ticket because there was a raccoon right outside my
Dang.
door.
Well,
I'm terrified of them.
Well, that's one less ticket sold for Kraven the Hunter,
Well,
I
it
guess.
is.
Yeah, it's like
Wow.
oof.
I mean, if Tyler, okay, this is more sinister what I'm about to do. This is just strictly for kicks here for me.
okay.
But if for some reason you get attacked by a raccoon and you
Ooh.
develop rabies and you go down,
Stop. Tim, that is
Are you
like my
scared of rabies?
that is like my number one fear.
Wow.
Yes.
We're getting deep on
okay,
the
which one would be worse? E.g.,
Don't bring them up.
okay, don't do that. Got it.
Rabies.
Rabies would be bad.
I
But,
would take
like,
rabies.
Who do you want producing your in memoriam show? Is my question. And do we bring up this segment or do we not? Do we go hunt the raccoons? It's raccoon hunting time at that point. We
Yeah,
go
you
avenge your
better
death.
avenge me.
Okay.
Oh, good to know.
What are we talking about here?
Okay. Tyler has had a different set of problems than you have, but we are now going into your number one.
My number one, I do have an honorable mention. Just one.
Okay, take it.
I don't love apartment decor outside of your apartment.
Okay.
Like, it's clutter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. Also, again, another safety tip. I don't want my apartment to be definable or be able to be picked out.
But what if yours is the only one not
If
decorated?
it's the only one not decorated, then I'm throwing on some decorations. But I don't want people to be like, oh, I don't want it to be
Yeah.
distinguishable.
Hey, another thing, if you were to decorate in a holly jolly way, you probably get more waves and smiles from people because they probably think you're just a bah humbug sitting over
Well-
there with nothing.
Spray some peppermint
Festive.
oil too.
Maybe. I don't
I'm
know.
just being a jerk. Okay,
Anyways, number one. And this wraps up in a bow what I've been dealing with for the last 8 months.
You've got the floor. You will not be interrupted.
You are not on a 5-acre lot, okay? You are in a shared public space with people around you. Your sights, your smells, your noise, your excrements, whatever is public. You do not get the benefit of the doubt under any circumstances. You're an adult. Act like it. And I'm just gonna let that sit for a second.
That's it?
No. Just take it in.
Okay.
I have been dealing with upstairs neighbors since February 2nd. Yesterday, I met with the apartment manager along with Lance Taylor because I had to bring in some firepower to try and get this straightened out. You guys have seen me at my worst. I come in exhausted because I'm awake at all hours of the night due to my upstairs neighbors being absolute idiots. Like, I'm not even being nice anymore. They're horrible people. They have no regard for anyone around them. They have left their dog, which you're not even supposed to have. Animals are allowed, but it has to be like registered. They have left their dog out on the deck all night, barking.
Okay, arrest them.
Exactly.
Arrest them.
That is, I don't care. I'll take the dog. But when you start treating animals poorly, I have no tolerance for that. The way that my apartment is set up is it also is a circular shared area below. It's the pool. So it's an echo chamber. If you're talking on the phone at the pool, people can hear it. So imagine a dog barking on a balcony all night. Horrible. They have this person that lives up there, and I won't say any identifying characteristics. They work at a local establishment near here, and they have a lot of guests, if you will. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. A carousel of guests, if you know what I mean. I hear it all at all hours of the night. They get back in from their legit job around 2 a.m. every night. So then I'm awake from usually 2 to 4 on and off of things dropping, music playing, also some domestic disputes. Then I hear them making up afterwards. Then, and then around 6 is when that person goes to bed. But one of their more frequent guests, that's when they are arising for to start the day off. So it never stops. They have kids there, and it's a 1-bedroom apartment. They have kids there, which, again, this is where it's like animals and kids you don't mess with. Probably sleeping on cots because there's no space for them to go. All hours. Dropping things, music. Apparently, these people were caught affectionately groping each other on the elevator platform on the ground.
You want to talk about some creeps?
Yeah.
Creep?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I've had to deal with hearing the frequent guests
Yes.
in an apartment next to me. But never to that degree. That is just truly awful, EG.
Truly awful.
I'm glad we talked about the raccoon problem first because it sounds like
now it would have sounded like I'm just making up stuff to complain about.
I mean, the music that they play, which again, there's just no regard for anyone. Also, they partake in some extracurricular activities. One that emits an odor. That smell drives me insane. The smell of weed. It is my least favorite smell.
I love how you did. Come on, you tiptoe around it,
And then I just had to
and
say
then
it.
you're like, "They're smoking movies," and it's like,
I know.
you kind of got it.
You kind of got it, but then I just had to say it.
But then you just went for it.
Yeah.
So
that smell
Gonna be in
drives
a
me
van down by the
insane.
river.
And I will open my apartment door, and it like I'm getting a secondhand high off of it. It's that bad. And it just like I can't have outdoor furniture on my deck anymore because it smelled like weed. And that just drove me insane. Again, the kids, the dogs, it has been a nightmare. The yelling, the screaming, you name it. I have experienced it above me, and hopefully it'll be the end of this experience. I'll be able to share more details with you once they are swiftly out. It has been awful.
Okay, couple things. If we look at the bright side of this, it has made you appreciate the quiet times more.
Yes.
Okay, so when you have that, you're like, thank goodness. That's pretty much all I can come up with.
Yeah.
Have you ever sort of fantasized about
And
going up there and giving them a piece of your mind?
Yes, I have, but the problem is, and so when I was speaking with the leasing people about it, the issue is that no one has called the police on them. They have a ton of complaints. However, and I think you guys can relate to that. Like for me, I don't want to call the police and to have it come back that it was me who called the police. Not that, like, you know what I mean? Like that just is
100% agree.
nerve-wracking
Yeah.
for me.
The police have, they have to get the important criminals like Tyler out of,
Duh.
they gotta harass the important ones out there.
Yeah, see,
Exactly.
they were too busy cracking that case
Exactly.
to help out.
Yeah.
But I have like for a while what I was doing, and this actually helped, is I found on YouTube this horrible noise, and it's on loop. And I would stand on my couch and I'd put it into the air vent, and it would just emit up into their apartment. And again, it would silence them for a couple of hours, so I would keep doing it. I had the broomstick. My favorite method was I would take my golf club and I would just drag it. And what I started doing is I realized that they were usually typically had quieted down, probably had fallen asleep between like 6 and 8. I would get my morning coffee, take my golf club, and just walk and just drag it across the ceiling.
Wow. This is psychological warfare
It
from
is.
everyone involved here. I have a solution though.
Okay.
We should get a
Okay.
giant box, and put all of Tyler's raccoons in the
In it.
box,
Knock, knock, knock.
and then unleash the raccoons on your bad neighbors. And
I would be
then
okay
next
with
thing you know,
that.
it solves both issues because your neighbors are so freaked out by the raccoons.
And raccoons are
I
gone.
like the sound of this plan.
And then, we just have to wrangle them up. So Tyler, this afternoon, I
Ooh,
need you
ooh,
going
yeah.
and wrangling up these raccoons
Mhm.
to help EG out. Well, EG, let me tell you, this has been a mostly silent battle that you've been battling, right? I
It
mean,
has
you
been.
have had to, as a part of your job, you have to perform.
Yes.
And a lot of times you are coming in here with very little sleep, trying to make sense. And sometimes we can be a little snarky. And I want to say personally, on behalf of Tyler, he apologizes. And
No, I really do, because you've told me how bad your neighbors are. It's like, man,
It's
that is just
okay.
truly awful. I've had some bad neighbors. Like Say Bear's asking me in the chat, was I hearing humans or raccoons?
Oh.
Making up. And
Oh, maybe both.
in my current apartment, it's raccoons. I could hear them. You know,
right,
having friendly times in the air vents. And at my apartment in Auburn, it was
Humans.
the dude who lived next to me and
Oh,
his
next
girlfriend.
door?
Yeah,
Yikes. That was in college too. Shared walls aren't good
yeah,
in
they're bad.
college.
I had an elderly couple with baked beans. And that was so I was able to escape the apartment lifestyle pretty easily. I did. Ooh, now thinking back to it, I did have one really scary apartment thing
Oh,
happen.
do tell.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the apartment alone and I hear bang, 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 bang on the door.
No.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, well, if I just don't move,
They will
maybe
go
it'll
away.
go away. And then it's bang, 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 bang. Police, open up.
No way.
Right. And they named out, it was in Orlando. I believe it was like, gosh, I forget what county it was, but I think it was like Orange County Police, open up or whatever. And so I go open up the door.
Did you check to see the police
Well,
first?
I looked through the
Okay,
keyhole
good. And you
and
saw
they
'em.
were blocking the keyhole.
Oh, no. You don't open the door. You say, "Move your hand and let me
Well,
examine you."
I had the door position. Anyway, you're right, but adrenaline's taken over, and you're like, you better open this door. We're the police. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what have I done? Like, have I been running drugs secretly without knowing? Like,
Even
is some
myself
sort of
knowing.
night terror walking through the motions? So I open up the door, and it was some bail bondsmen that were looking for the person that had lived there before
No.
me. And so
They were
Hey,
not the
they got
police.
dog on it.
they were not if they were not the police,
See, that yeah. Mhm.
but they wanted me to open up real bad, and I did not fit the description because when they looked
Clearly.
at me, they were like,
Wrong
"You're
guy.
definitely not that guy."
But isn't that nice? That, like, you cannot be falsely accused of things. Most likely.
Yesterday, literally, I tell you a story about being falsely accused, and you're like, "Well, at
But
least you're never falsely accused." I just said, "EG, I'm so sorry for the trauma you've experienced, and I need to be."
description-wise, you can't be mistaken for someone.
It depends.
Uh,
Think about
uh,
it.
Who else
If
is 7 feet tall?
That's my thing. If they say a 7-foot bearded man robs a bank, which I'm never going to, but if they say that on the news, who are you gonna immediately think of
Well,
first?
I'm gonna go to you. But if they say a 5'10" guy with brown hair,
Right. I mean, it does exclude me from a lot of
yeah,
things. And in this case, they looked at me and they're like, "Well, you're not the guy."
yeah.
They're like, "Have you ever heard of this guy?" And I'm like, "No."
No.
And they're like, "Okay, well, all right, bye." And I was like, "Gosh, that was horrifying." And I didn't even do anything. But anyway, I was immediately running through what my alibi would be for not having done anything. And I just, I feel like
sounds familiar.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I didn't have Jim to help me though, so uh, It's interesting how much you've relied on Jim this week, Tyler, to get you through your police struggles, and how much you've relied on Lance here. Now I've got to lean into Brown for
You do
something.
something.
I don't know what it is. It's not going to be movie recommendations from the 90s, but it's going to be something where I'm going to need Brown's help. So.
Listen, go. You need to get Lance involved. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, we made some headway. I did forget to mention this. Apparently, one of the guests of the tenant was frustrated that they could not enter the parking garage that is gated. You have to have a tag. So they just rammed their car into it. That was why all summer the gate didn't work.
Jeez.
And that was a car got stolen out of the parking deck.
You know, Friends or Sex in the City, or like these they make apartment living look
Looks so
so
glamorous.
it's so great, right?
No.
And then you guys come in here.
Oh.
Tyler's got a raccoon attached to his neck.
Yeah.
EG looks like she, has had some sort of allergic reaction with big, huge, giant bags
That-
under her
They're
eyes.
just, yeah.
And didn't mean to make you feel insecure or anything. It
No,
was
it's
just
okay.
really,
But it's true.
really hitting home how little sleep you've had. The fact that you're having to golf club your ceiling when you get up in the morning.
Yeah. I mean, that's because
You hit your ceiling with a golf.
no, I drag it because I feel like and I do the perimeters.
Yeah. Oh,
I want to
Anyway.
vacuum it, but
yeah. I'm sure that, we'll all get through this phase. It'll be
will.
just a phase. We'll look back and we'll have a good laugh about it. You'll
We'll
watch
chuckle.
this episode in 4 months back. No, you won't, but you will think about it, and it'll be like night and day potentially.
Next episode or next 5 things, I have even crazier stories about a house I lived in college that involves streaking after the Super Bowl. Neighbors. Crazy.
Your tease to future content is impeccable.
Thank you.
But I just don't know what the list would be. Like EG's 5 craziest stories about the streaking incident from 2020.
20.
2020. So there we go.
We'll get to that.
All right, we will. Hey, speaking of sports, a great place to go play in the sports book is at our title sponsor. That's MyBookie at mybookie.ag. You can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. Plenty of opportunities to cash out and win or let it ride at MyBookie. Make sure you use promo code NEXTROUND for that deposit bonus, and bet and play absolutely anything, anytime, anywhere, only with our friends at MyBookie. We appreciate all of you so much being here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button for us if you haven't already. It really does help. We've got tons of great content out there for you, and even more headed your way right here on The Meltdown. We will see you again live tomorrow, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Hope you have a great rest of your day, Meldonia.